Natural gas is one of the important and valuable energy resources found in Alberta. When burned, it produces energy, light, and heat. Similar to coal and oil, natural gas is a fossil fuel that was formed over millions of years deep beneath the surface of the earth. However, unlike coal and oil, which you can feel, touch, and smell, natural gas in its pure state has no color or odor. And without some method of capturing it, this vaporous material can simply escape into the air. Now, these elusive qualities were part of the challenge when natural gas was first discovered in Alberta. Historically, natural gas discoveries were viewed as mysterious and supernatural. After all, if natural gas seeping from the ground was ignited, it would have seemed that a fire had mysteriously appeared from nowhere. And in some cases, that fire would continue to burn because it was fueled by a constant supply of pressurized gas. When coal is heated, it gives off gas. This manufactured gas became a fuel source used for power and lighting throughout the 19th century. While the production of this coal gas could be controlled in order to capture the resulting vapor, finding and capturing natural gas from the ground was a lot trickier. The early discoveries of natural gas in Alberta occurred really more by chance than through planning. In 1883, workmen for the Canadian Pacific Railway were drilling for water near Medicine Hat and hit natural gas instead. Although this discovery unfortunately burned down their drilling rig, they did eventually put the gas to good use. It was used for fuel for another rig, as well as for heating and cooking. In 1886, George Mercer Dawson, a renowned scientist at the Geological Survey of Canada, suspected that southern Alberta sat atop rich natural gas reserves. As a result of his work in surveying and mapping natural resources in the vast wilderness of Western Canada, Dawson made some bold predictions. Not only did he believe that large amounts of combustible gas would be found, he also knew that they would hold great economic importance. By 1890, other natural gas discoveries near Medicine Hat had set off a serious and organized search for a reliable gas supply. With more successes, Medicine Hat soon became internationally known for its wealth of petroleum reserves. The British author Rudyard Kipling described the region as having all hell for a basement, with Medicine Hat providing the only trapdoor. In the city of Calgary, a race was on to find, capture, and supply natural gas. Two men, Eugene Cost and Archibald Dingman, were the main competitors willing to invest time, money, and hard work based mostly on rumor and instinct. Cost was the first to score big in 1909 with a site nicknamed Old Glory in Bow Island, southeast of Calgary. Old Glory won him the franchise rights to supply natural gas to the city of Calgary for heating and lighting. Dingman, on the other hand, joined with William Heron and other investors to create a petroleum company that directed its exploration along the Sheep River, near what later became the town of Turner Valley. In 1914, a gas well known as Dingman No. 1 blew in, establishing the rich gas field at Turner Valley as the symbol of petroleum in Alberta. Turner Valley would experience 3 booms in all: gas discoveries in 1914 and 1924, and crude oil in 1936. From discovery in 1914 until the late 30s, Turner Valley's supply of natural gas more than met the regional demand. Any excess amount was simply burned off. Flaring, as it was called, lit up the night sky at Turner Valley for the next 2 decades. It was rumored that one could read a newspaper outside at midnight, thanks to the numerous flares lighting up the landscape. Much of the flaring that occurred was concentrated in a small ravine that became known as Hell's Half Acre. Although the surreal landscape of Turner Valley became a bit of a tourist attraction, intervention by the Alberta government to conserve natural gas eventually put an end to flaring. By 1947, it was no longer permitted. Discoveries at Jumping Pound in 1944 and Pincher Creek in 1948, and the opening of the huge Leduc field in 1947 seemed to settle the argument as to whether or not Alberta had significant gas reserves. The strong interest from British Columbia, Central Canada, and the U.S. in moving natural gas beyond Alberta's borders to other, more populated areas appealed to Alberta's producers. That interest evolved into plans for a pipeline network to transport Alberta gas to distant populations. Politics became a barrier almost as formidable as the rock that was drilled through to find the gas in the first place. The Great Pipeline Debate led to major political changes in 1957, and it resulted in the creation of the Trans-Canada Pipeline that began to carry Alberta gas to cities like Montreal. In the years since, the role of government in the oil and gas industry has been steady. Environmental concerns require conservation enforcement. Energy crises drive regulation, and concerns raised by groups and organizations have led to greater dialogue. But the history of Alberta's natural gas is a story of accidental discovery, of speculators, entrepreneurs, and oilmen, and of the creation of a new industry. It involves science, innovation, conservation, government regulation, and eventually the widespread distribution of this vital energy source to national and international markets. Natural gas. It's one of the energy resources that has fundamentally changed the province of Alberta and is a major part of the story of Alberta's energy resources heritage.